So this course is going to cover materials for watercolors, and so I wanted to show you guys, what kind of brushes to get and use, what kind of watercolors. We're going to talk about tubes because I know some of you have challenges with those, and we're going to take a look at the paper. I've been doing watercolor before I went to college, so good maybe 20 years, and there's always something more to learn and more to grow with, but we'll cover a lot of good materials so that you can get started with quality papers and paints, and you can avoid some of the frustrations of using inferior materials, and you'll have a better idea of where to start and how to get familiar with your colors. We're going to do a few exercises that will get you more comfortable with the colors that you're using so that you'll be able to quickly figure out how to move on with your paintings as you go. So stick around and we'll get going. So, I've talked about pigment a little bit, and I thought I would show you actually what that looks like, because how pigment naturally comes, and more from the manufacturers, and this is ultramarine blue. It's actually in a powder form. So this is how most, there we go, hand-eye coordination here. Most pigments are shipped. There's some that are dispersed in water or other chemicals so that they don't clump together as far as the pigments go, but this is generally most of how they come. So if you're working with just straight pigments, you would need to use face masks and things to be careful with inhaling these powders. I use these for egg tempera, and they're such tiny quantities that I don't have to worry too much about that, but that is available. And you would take the pigment and you'd mix it with some gum arabic. Now we're not going to go into how to mix and all that to do it, but just to give you an idea, this is kind of how the pigments are made. And so you have this sort of clear, goopy liquid, and most of the commercial ones have some other additives in them so that they don't go moldy in the tubes and they stay moist and nicely dispersed. But one of the reasons you noticed with some of the paints that the grains were bigger than others is because the grinding of the grain and the pigment, each one has its own optimal size that you grind it to, and so if you grind it smaller, it will lose some of its intensity, and that would be bad for pigments. So most of them are ground to whatever the correct size it is for the granules for the pigment, so that it gives you the best color. And that's why you'll see differences in how granulated something like the Viridian green is versus how smooth the phthalo green is. It's just how well they're able to grind those pigments and still have a beautiful color to come through. So I just wanted to show you that, give you an idea how that works.